The Republicans have had a lot of time, Waj, to do their investigations, right? They've had years to come up with the dirt that they needed to come up with in order to smear, like you said, muddy the waters for the Biden administration and, create this image of the Biden crime family. And do you know what they've come up with? Much in the same case as Benghazi, not a goddamn thing, right? Not a goddamn thing. So somehow the Department of Justice didn't come up with anything. Somehow, and again, the Department of Justice charged Hunter Biden for political reasons. I want to be very, very clear, because the charges that came from him, and there are charges that are now in California, and Hunter Biden will probably either face jail time, right, or face another steep penalty for the decision, his bad business decisions and dealings. But when we look at this, you know how many Americans have people in their family who have been addicted to drugs? We have an opioid crisis, right? By the way, that the Republican Party didn't want to hold the family responsible for the opioid crisis, right? Allowed them to be charged, the Sacklers, with any type of crime, right? Millions of people have addicts in their families, right? And so when we look at Hunter Biden, who has taken responsibility and wants to take responsibility and has publicly now for the first time come out and said, you've done all of this to hurt my father. My father has absolutely nothing to do with any of the bad decisions that I've made. They were mine and they were mine alone. It's just, it's incredibly transparent, right? What the Republicans are doing. Everything is a deflection, right? Everything that they do and say is an admission of their own guilt.
That's right. And I feel it's one of those situations where it's every accusation is a confession, like you said, and it's specifically, remember, it's not just this, but a couple of months ago, let me do a callback. Remember the groomer conspiracies?
Yes.
And it's one of those situations, folks, if you've been paying attention, and I do not like seeing these news items that pop up, but like every week now, there's a right-wing MAGA person who's being caught or arrested for pedophilia. For rape. Look at what's happening right now. I mean, this story. I mean, we have to talk about it very quickly. Florida. I mean, Moms
Tell
for Liberty. Come on now. One of the Moms for Liberty co-founders is allegedly engaging in a threesome, meaning that she's having sex with another woman. And this Florida lawmaker, who was all for family values and conservative values and, going after gays and LGBTQ and talking about this community as they're a threat to our kids, they're openly engaging in a threesome, having lesbian sex. And also, allegedly, one of the women who are involved say that there was sexual assault and rape. So that's illegal. So if you want to engage in a threesome, if you want to get your freaky deaky on, go for it. Who am I to judge? Enjoy yourself. But now she's alleging sexual assault. And so it's all projection. It's all projection. It's all bad faith. And one other example I'll give, and because I'm so frustrated by this, because we keep falling for the bad faith actions of bad faith people. We all know they're bad faith, Danielle, and for some strange reason, America goes, duh, even though we know it's bad faith, let's give it a full hearing. Let's put it on primetime news. Elise Stefanik, Representative Elise Stefanik, who has funded anti-Semitic ads promoting the replacement theory, the white supremacist conspiracy theory, Danielle, that says the Jews are the head of an international cabal that are using Black people, Muslims, LGBTQ, and immigrants to weaken and replace Western civilization, has the audacity to care or claim to care about anti-Semitism, to grill Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, who they were under pressure for her to resign. She did not get fired. And instead of people saying, wait a second, Lee Stefanik, aren't you supporting President Trump, who dined with Nick Fuentes, a white nationalist? Aren't you the person who promoted the replacement theory? Aren't you part and parcel of a right-wing movement that promotes dual loyalty tropes? Why do you, of any person, have any right to claim to care about Jews and anti-Semitism when your entire party has promoted anti-Semitism that has resulted in violence against Jews and people of color? That's the conversation I would love, but nope. we
No,
allow the
because
bad faith people to go forward.
And you're totally right, because this is the thing that I have started to say. I'm so tired of meeting these people in the sewer with their bad faith efforts where they are, right? Instead of elevating the conversation and turning it around.
Right.
Democrats continue to be on the defensive and answer questions as opposed to asking those questions. Because let me tell you something. If you were the president of those universities that you were hauled in, right, to take the responsibility of what students on your campus have said and done, and you're not briefed in a way to then turn those questions similarly back on those members of Congress who actually have power, right? And people listening to them, and a constituency base that is growing more and more violent by the day, right? You're doing a disservice. Let's stop pretending that they give a shit about Jewish people. Let's stop pretending, right, that their entire support of Israel doesn't have some backhanded, oh, this will be the second coming of Christ in some type of way, a sacrificial idea, an ideology that they're trying to promote. Like, let's stop pretending, right? When people say, well, I don't know what's in their heart. I know what's in their fucking heart, because you know what they fund. Right? You know what they stand for. You know who they stand with. So, to me, it is a bad faith effort to continue to meet these people under false pretenses when we know the truth that they're actually acting on. I want to say this, and I want to switch gears for a moment, because for the past couple of weeks, Waj, have been posting videos, either appearances on MSNBC or my own TikTok videos talking about the importance of this election. Because the murmurings of people saying that they are going to sit this election out, that they are going to vote their values, that they cannot continue to support the Democratic Party and the Biden administration because of what they are seeing and witnessing happening in Gaza, is leading me to believe, while people like to say to me that foreign policy has no bearing on domestic issues and us voting, that's not what I'm hearing and seeing in my comment section. And so how do you think, I mean, again, we are 11 months out, and I'm not trying to get you to read a crystal ball, but should this administration be paying sharp attention to blocks of voters like in Michigan, a population that could very well hand over Donald Trump the election if they decide to stay home, Generation Z, Black and brown people that are saying, yeah, this is not it? Do you think that they need to be paying attention right now to the anger that is growing against this administration? Because it's not just a lack of enthusiasm, right? We had that in 2020. It's not a lack of enthusiasm or excitement on the side for Biden. It's that people are starting to dislike him, to hate him.
I mean, I think the administration should pay attention to the growing injustice and humanitarian crisis that's happening in Gaza, right? The fact that half the people are now starving, the fact that 85% have been displaced, the fact that the low estimate is 7,500 kids have been killed. More kids killed in the past 2 months than in all the war zones in the past year around the globe combined. The fact that the majority of people killed are civilians. The fact that before this happened, Danielle, there was a humanitarian crisis. People forget that. Before the war, it's an open-air prison where pretty much all the major human rights groups have said that there's an ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which is occupied territory. And the fact now that you have Israeli officials kind of openly saying the end game, no two states, we're going to displace them. They're most likely going to go where? Egypt and Jordan. And then who's going to take over that land, Danielle? Right. And this is happening with the United States funding Israel, United States bypassing Congress to give them weapons, United States pledging at least, $14 billion, United States as an outlier in the world where the United Nations General Assembly strongly condemned the ongoing war and asked for a ceasefire. But guess who decided not to join them? The United States. And I think Joe Biden is finally feeling the heat because as of this recording, he did something which he has rarely done, publicly criticized Benjamin Netanyahu and said that it's not going well and doesn't look good. What also happened as of today, U.S. delaying the sales of M16 rifles to Israel over settler violence. Something else we haven't talked about. Forget Gaza. All the people that have been killed in the West Bank as these settlers are given free rein to terrorize Palestinians. So I sit here and I go, first and foremost, it's a terrible look for the United States. Secondly, my taxpayer dollars are going to Israel to fund what many say are ongoing war crimes. Number three, it's not just Muslims and Arabs, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Gen Z, a lot of folks are saying, you're asking me to sit there and support a candidate who I'm not really even that enthused by. I wasn't enthused by him in 2020. I'm not enthused by him now, who seems to not care at all, Danielle, about Palestinians. His trademark empathy is gone. And a lot of Democrats are saying the following. I'll tell you what I heard from folks. They'll give Israel, by folks inside the administration, they're going to give Israel a couple of months to do what Israel wants to do. A lot of these Palestinians are going to go to Egypt and Jordan. United States and Israel will find a way to pay off Egypt and Jordan. And then in a couple of months, Joe Biden will say, okay, enough of that. Let's switch over to the domestic policies. That's their plan. From a person within the administration who I won't name, but that's what they told me. I don't know if people will forget. And in Michigan, I don't think people will forget. And what the administration is hoping for is that, based on what we talked about at the beginning of this episode, the Republican Party has gone so far out to the right, so self-destructive, so extreme, so hateful, that will be enough to put Biden and Dems over the top. That's the calculation. I don't know. For me,
Let me tell you
I
something.
wouldn't want to risk it, but that's just me.